Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Lowell Patton joins us. He's president of the Fernley Chamber. A lot of huge growth just down the road for Fernley, potentially. He's here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Hello, is this D&D Roofing?
Yes, it is. How may I help you?
You did such a great job on my roof. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner.
Oh, can I speak to your supervisor?
Sure.
How may I help you?
I love your work. May I speak to the owner?
I am an owner. We're all owners. Well, that's why at D&D we work so hard to keep your home safe and sound.
Oh, no wonder.
D&D Roofing and Sheet Metal. Local, employee-owned, here for you.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're pleased to welcome to the program for the first time Lowell Patton. He is president of the Fernley Chamber. Pleasure to have you on the program, sir.
Thank you.
So, for those that may not keep up with the news of Fernley, Fernley is about 30 miles to the east of Reno. It's about the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center is about halfway between Fernley and Reno. It's on I-80, and it's had an industrial park that has been there for a long time but was never really developed. But now the company that bought it recently is putting up spec buildings. Are you excited about this?
Yeah, it's going to be good for Fernley. It's had its challenges being between 50 and the railroad and Interstate 80, so there was some substantial infrastructure investment that had to be made, and Wade Development originally made some of those investments in building exit 50 on 80. And the next big one is going south over the railroad to get to Highway 50. And so we're kind of waiting to see what the plans are for that. But as you said, the building plans are in for the first big spec building, and sounds very interesting.
Well, and you know, obviously, and one of the nice things about this conversation, beyond all the other conversations, we can talk about coronavirus when we get a little bit deeper into the program. But people are looking for some positive news, and there's a lot of positive news. The Tahoe Reno Industrial Center is not going backwards. There is not a big exit of companies leaving there. The kind of businesses that we're attracting to Northern Nevada are the kind of businesses that are going to maintain their position throughout whatever horrors we go through with the economy. These businesses are pretty stable, and there's been a need to expand, and Fernley is the natural location for people to expand to. And not only that, but even though the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center was 102,000 acres, a lot of it wasn't developable. There were 6 parcels of 6,000 acres apiece. But the Fernley development is all buildable, correct?
Yes. Yeah, for certain, both the one that exists as well as the one in that Lance Gilman is pushing in the future.
So that's Lance Gilman and Roger Norman of the Tahoe Industrial Center are putting together a package of land that will be considerable, maybe even potentially more ability to build than they had at TRI.
Yeah, I've read a few articles that talk about as much as 20,000 acres, which is enormous, but nobody thought TRI would be what TRI is at this point then, so it'll be interesting.
Roger was famously quoted in 1998 in an article in the Las Vegas Review-Journal saying this project will not be completed in my lifetime. And I told him he ended up being a liar because obviously it did. But yes, 20,000 acres is, for people that don't realize, that would be enough for industrial, commercial, residential, essentially a town.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a sort of a double-edged sword. The city limits of Fernley are, I think it's 164 square miles. So, I mean, it's an enormous area. But 20,000 acres certainly would be a big chunk of any type of use, really. Even if it was all industrial, it's just a phenomenal amount of acreage.
All right. So one of the things I've had discussions with people privately about this is that infrastructure is really going to be one of the big considerations. Not only infrastructure to get to I-80 and US 50. But also in terms of the city of Fernley is not ready to have massive trucks going through the streets of Fernley 24 hours a day. So what are the issues that you're looking at and are coming up in conversation at the Chamber?
Well, are we talking about the existing park or?
Yeah, well, I mean all of it.
Okay.
I mean, if you're going to end up with two massive industrial parks, then at some point you're going to need to build the infrastructure of the city of Fernley, and how does that get paid for? Because the city of Fernley is not sitting there with money coming out of its ears.
Yeah, I think, to take the existing park for first, I was public works director for the city for 5.5 years, so I have a pretty good understanding.
Yes, you do.
People blame me for putting in medians where where they don't think medians belong, but on Newlands Drive, East Newlands Drive, which is on the way to the existing park, we put a median down the middle of that road when Walmart was built. And but in that, with the existing park, I think there's less impact on residents as a whole because of its location. It has access currently to 80. It will have larger rail access. They're working on some intermodal items of interest, and then Highway 50 will be the tough one. So that's highway, interstate, rail, some streets, in between. The one that would have the bigger issue is the Perspective Park. It's a large amount of it's on the hillside, and it's way out towards the airport. So the city's policy has been that typically development pays for development. There are times when the water treatment plant, a bond was taken, so but still residents weren't expected to pay for future capacity. So that's kind of the principle of the city, at least. I don't think anything's changed since I was there, is development pays for development.
Okay. How big is the city of Fernley this time, population-wise?
I think we're about 21,500. It's depends on which data you look at.
Okay. And what does the public think in terms of these, the development and the potential development?
Well, I think there's some longtime residents that maybe don't appreciate growth. I think there's a fair amount of the city that sees the potential. Cresting 20,000 is a big deal for the city because, as I understand it, there's quite a bit of chain type businesses that look at that as a barrier. I remember when I was at the city, Jiffy Lube was one, for instance. They wouldn't look at installing anything unless a city went to 20,000. And with the recession, we dipped below that, and we've come back beyond that. I've heard some people say that we're as large as 23,000, but I think most people see that, commerce improves the economy. If the economy's strong, they're strong, businesses are strong, and people will come to Fernley and give them the services that people have been looking for, restaurants, movie theater, those kind of things. They don't just spring up by themselves. They require some pretty stable economy to make it.
So what is the biggest industry in Fernley at this point in time? Or is it more of a bedroom community for Reno and TRI?
Well, we are and probably will be a bedroom community, substantially. But we have some industrial businesses out in the park that employ quite a few people. When Amazon left, we lost a pretty substantial employer. Certainly seasonal employment was an incredible amount of people. But I think we're doing okay, and we're moving away from that bedroom community. And I guess you'd have to decide for TRI. Obviously there's no housing there, so people have to live somewhere that work there, and we're seeing quite a few people that are commuting from there instead of going into Reno.
Do you look at Fernley as being the affordable housing location? Because the Reno area is running out of land, as you know, and so the cost of land is going up. A lot of the land areas that's being developed require substantial engineering to get out of floodplains and things like that. So the cost of housing is not going downward. Even affordable housing is not going to be affordable for a lot of people. Are people still able to build in the Fernley area at a reasonable cost? And do you think that might be, a part of the future?
Well, I think one thing that Fernley has always tried to do was to maintain a competitive advantage in housing over Reno. And for a long time, we had that. And I think, when everything just crashed, you can't really look at the differences in pricing at that point because there just weren't people looking to buy. But recently the city has entertained some changes to their plans that will allow more affordable housing, smaller lots, higher density, and I think that's one thing that everybody realizes is that is needed in Fernley. There's this perception that people don't like to live next to apartments and the like, but I think that everybody understands, especially when times are tough and you look at what you're paying for rent, that that's a tough nut to crack every month, and if you're in a position where you can't just spend what you want to spend, those are some needed housing units. And
it's been interesting because Fallon has been promoting itself as just an hour away, and so they've been making inroads, at least trying to getting people to live in Fallon. Do you look to some kind of bus service between Fernley and TRI and Fernley and Reno that would help to make that more livable for people who have a lower income?
I don't know if they've looked at it as far as a public transit. I do know there's quite a few higher services that people utilize to get between and the bigger businesses, Panasonic and Tesla, between Fernley and those businesses. I know that there's some availability, but I don't know about the mass transit aspect of it.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back more with Lowell Patton after this timeout.
Hey, Dad? Are you learning? This place is great.
Huh?
You gotta try this.
Wow, this stuff is great. People are gonna love it.
Yes. Yes, they will.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Lowell Patton. He is the president of the Fernley Chamber. Lands bills. We've talked to Congressman Amodei about this multiple times. What is your optimism level of the chamber in regards to the lands bill, and does everybody want it?
Well, I don't know if there are lands bills that go through quickly. There's always seems to be some opposition for some reason or some string that's tied to the bill itself. I think as far as swapping and consolidating, I don't think there's as much disagreement out in the public.
And just so we can explain to people that may not be aware, what you're talking about is checkerboarding, right?
Yes.
So where lands are some owned by the railroad, other government entities, that you could swap those lands and end up with more developable land.
Yeah, so I guess that's one good way to look at it. If you have red squares and black squares on a checkerboard, it's trading red squares for black squares to make one group of them black if you happen to be a private entity, or leaving some of them other ones red if you happen to be a public entity. And that's necessary because even though you're permitted access across the corners of the public land, you can't really plan for any large infrastructure with sensible, centralized services if you don't have all of that together, if all your checkerboards aren't one color. And I think that, we've talked about, back when I worked for the city, we talked about some possible, improvements in areas out that way. But it is really quite a ways away from the center of Fernley. But it's, certainly nothing's impossible if you throw enough money at it, and you can still have gravity on your side, maybe for some of the sewer stuff. But I haven't heard much opposition to the lands bill. I don't think a lot of people are really aware of it. I think that's probably one thing. When I worked at the city, there were other lands bills that just languished, for years and years and years. And I think people became aware of them just because of the time that it took to get them through. But I do think it's necessary to make that development work out there.
Well, and I think that, there seems to be an urgency in the state of Nevada because we have lands bills that are up all across the state. And the one that seems the most controversial is the Las Vegas lands bill for innumerable reasons that we're not going to go into here. But I think that the other lands bills seem to be more needed for local development and to move the state forward. And certainly with everything that's going on, that this would be a great time for an economic push. Do you have enough water?
I don't really know the status because it's been a while since I was out from the water. I know that the issue with lining the Truckee Canal is going to greatly impact the city's assets if it's as it is proposed today.
Is it actually going to go through? I mean, I've been hearing about this for 30 years.
Yeah, I think the problem with it, well, not the problem with it, but I think the impetus is the flood in 2008.
Right.
That caused the need for structural changes to the canal. But I just don't know what that impact's going to be if the federal government somehow makes Fernley whole for some of that water that's seeped forever for the last 100 years.
I mean, let's be realistic. It's half the water that goes along that canal.
It's a substantial amount.
But on the other side of that, there are people that benefit from the water that is the seepage.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a mixed bag.
Two sides of the same coin, that's for sure.
All right, let's take another break. We'll come back and we'll talk about coronavirus and its effect on Fernley when we come back.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. At Design Outdoor, we specialize in all hardscapes, pavers, and walls you'll need for everything, from wonderful small yards to full-blown outdoor living. And we only refer the best contractors to make your vision a reality. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and because I represent men in all family law matters, women often call me gender traitor, woman hater, and even disgusting. So why represent men and target myself with these offensive monikers? It's simple. Children with fathers in their lives are 6 times less likely to drop out of school, 15 times less likely to go to prison, and 5 times less likely to commit suicide. So ladies, you can hate me, but please love your children more than you hate their fathers.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Lowell Patton. He is the president of the Fernley Chamber. You wanted to put out the web address if people would like to know more about what's going on in Fernley.
So the chamber web address is www.fernleychamber.org, and you can peruse the memberships and see some of our services. Right now, with the coronavirus, we've decided that we're going to do free small business memberships through July 30th just to be able to get people on board to help circulate some of the information that we're getting from our lawmakers, legislatures, and local, federal, regional, all those folks.
And how has the coronavirus affected the Fernley area, if it has at all? Because a lot of rural Nevada has not been impacted to any extent by coronavirus.
Yeah, I would say, that's one of those things that's kind of unique about Fernley is we are in a rural area, but we have a town center. We have businesses that are closed, bars totally closed, restaurants converting to curbside service.
Casinos closed.
Casinos closed. Salons. Those kind of things. They're starting to reopen. Just from the governor's directive the last couple of days ago. But it's a little early to tell. I think what the impact is going to be long term, and it'll be interesting to see if some of those businesses don't open back up. But I haven't heard too much about people shutting down for good.
So it's been a different situation in Fernley than it has, for example, say in Elko or some of the other northeastern areas where people have been actively complaining about the fact that they have had little or no coronavirus, and yet they've been under the same imposition from the governor.
I think part of that is being under the Quad Counties umbrella. Originally, the data looked really good, and then it seemed like it was not quite as good as we originally thought. But I think a county by county approach makes sense. I was kind of disappointed when I heard that it seemed like it wasn't going to come out that way. But now I'm kind of hearing that maybe it is going to happen that way. Obviously, traveling between the counties, you're kind of negating that benefit of having safety in your own county if you happen to be rural, but I don't know how that's going to come out.
Well, interesting days. I think that if Fernley is able to land another Amazon-type business, whether it's a Walmart distribution center or something like that, that those industrial parks are going to take off like crazy. And I'm excited for the Fernley area that you're going to see some growth. I thank you very much for coming in. We've been trying to get somebody to come in from Fernley for the longest time, and thank you for responding. I really appreciate it. And we'll be right back.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's Development Company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's Development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Watch Nevada Newsmakers on YouTube. You can do that now these days. We'll see you on the next broadcast.